It feels like rappers don't even last more than 2 years anymore. One moment they're everywhere, the next moment they're forgotten. What's going on, y'all? It's Will Armani. Hope everybody's feeling good today. If you are, please make sure to subscribe. We got more content coming on the way. Let's get into it. Rappers don't stay relevant as long as they used to. Rappers used to have long runs, and now the culture moves on quickly. The audience attention span is shorter than ever, and relevancy has changed in the streaming era. But why is this? Shortened attention spans definitely are a contributor, but it's not the only one. TikTok and viral culture reward quick hits, but not long-term artistry. And we've seen this in the last few years, where so many artists, TikTok artists, so many creators blow up instantly. They have one big hit single and then their relevancy declines right after. And it's not entirely the artist's fault. These platforms push things that are going to keep people on them. That's the only thing they do. A lot of these artists get these hits, they're not able to carry them into their careers because people literally don't even know that they made the song. I think another contributor is that a lot of artists recycle the same sounds. Many rappers don't evolve, so the fans move on. I've noticed in the last especially 2 to 3 years that a lot of artists are sounding similar. A lot of artists are sounding the same. And I know I've made that argument in the past, but what we need to really take into consideration is that if a lot of artists who are coming out are sounding the same, not bad, not amazing, but the same, we're not going to get relevancy from each individual artist for a long period of time, because a relevant artist stays relevant by being different, by being out of the box compared to their counterparts. And every artist that we're getting in recent times is either using similar production, has a similar sound, or a similar aesthetic. And if everybody's doing the same thing, we're not going to get individual artists to last long. Which brings me to my next point, which is there's no strong branding or image with a lot of these artists. It all connects. You see, when artists are starting to sound the same and having the same exact aesthetic, things all kind of mesh together and nobody has their own personality within their brand. And artists who drop music quickly without having a strong brand fade quickly. I've been trying to think of rappers who have a strong identity compared to not. And it's really difficult for me because I don't think that we have a lot of artists who have a strong identity currently. Unless you're some artist who has a strong gimmick that you kind of push yourself with, where like Forbats, for example, pushed himself with the fact that he looks like a hard street rapper, but he's really singing R&B melodies. Or Dave Blunt's, where he's just this really big guy who kind of meme raps in a way. Other than that, we don't really have a lot of artists who have strong identities that they hold not only within themselves, but that you can hear through the music. There's a lot of rappers who had their moment, but fell off pretty quickly, or are on their way to what looks like could be a fall off. I'm not hating on any specific artist, but artists like Ian, Forbats, who had their moments, but are struggling with keeping their relevancy. Even current underground artists like Autumn, Summers, Netspin, Osama Sun, a lot of these artists are not bad. They're not making awful music, but they're having a hard time staying relevant. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just something to look at. In my previous video, I talked about how there's street rap fatigue, and I think now we're also experiencing rap fatigue in general, where we're getting fatigued of just artists over artists coming at us, and we can't really digest one or the other, and that also leads to artists not staying relevant either. But how can rappers start to stay more relevant? Even the ones that I mentioned, are there ways that they can change? Well, I think it's really about building a real brand and personality outside of your music. If you don't have anything outside of your music that you can attach yourself to, whether that be content like I'm making right now, studio vlogs, or just you talking on your story. I mean, I'm talking about artists like me who are constantly trying to grow, but I'm also talking to the artists who were relevant and are losing that relevancy. You need something that builds your brand and your personality outside of just the music, because the music is not the only thing that's going to keep a person around. I mean, think of X, think of Juice WRLD. These were artists that people loved not just because of their music, but because of who they showed they were, their personality, how you can feel like without listening to their music, you can connect with them. Focusing on quality over quantity and stop flooding with music and instead starting to flood the audience with personality and realness. I know it sounds cliche, but people feel when you're not being authentic. People feel when these artists aren't being real. And I think artists need to start evolving sonically instead of chasing trends or chasing what they believe that their fans want. Because I think a big misconception with artists is that if they don't listen to their fans, they'll be screwed over. And it really does depend, right? Because if you completely go into a completely different direction and you don't ease your fans in or warn your fans that you're doing so, it'll hurt you. But there is nothing wrong with evolving as an artist. And I think a lot of artists struggle with evolving because they don't want to be completely taken out of relevancy, but they also don't want to hurt their fans. I think Autumn and Summers had this problem where they tried to differentiate their music, but they did it in a way where their fans weren't exactly ready. But it wasn't even their fault because as they were blowing up, they were also growing and developing their sound. So sometimes it's not the artist's fault either, but relevancy isn't about dropping the most. It's about dropping something that actually sticks. Do you think it's possible for rappers to even stay relevant long term in 2025, 2026 and on? Or are short runs of 6 months to 2 years just how it's gonna be now? Please let me know in the comments how you feel about this topic. I really want to have a discussion with you guys. If you're new here, please make sure to subscribe. I've got more content coming on the way. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can do that. Follow me on Instagram, Will Armani with 2 eyes. It's been your boy, Will Armani. Please stay positive.